Oh,
Hello everyone.
I'm back from the west. It was a damn quick trip over there and back, I can tell you that.
Didn't even feel like you were gone.
And it was very, very hot. But we'll talk about that a bit later on.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
So tonight we've got a stock update, the newsletter rundown from this week, your favourite pieces of the gold of the week and the relic of the week.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into the Q&A at the end.
Yeah. And our main topic.
Oh, yes.
Our main topic tonight is talking about Western Australia, but I'll tell you if you're heading over there where to buy the fuel, because I saw all the prices along the way. So 2 stops not to get your fuel at, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
So we've got 2 prizes tonight for whoever likes the video.
Okay.
So you like the live and you'll go in the running to win a prize. And what prizes did you pick out?
Oh, I think we'll go for this. It's MindLab Pro Gold pack. Now, there's a sucker bottle. There's 2 bottles to fill up with gold. Gee, if they're full, there's probably, I'd say, 2 ounces in each. Magnifying glass and a little sucker bottle.
Nice.
So, yeah. So, usual, either come into the shop and pick one up or, we'll post it out to them.
Yep. So we were in the shop today, weren't we, the 2 of us?
We were.
Had
So
a busy day.
busy day. I got back, Saturday night. Took, I think, all day Sunday to clean the car. And then, in the shop today. Yeah.
So we had some orders come through today. So we got some CC pics come through. We've got an update of Doug Stone's maps, a restock of those. And we got some GPX 4500s.
We did, but gee, aren't they selling well?
They are.
We only have very limited stock left. I think you sold one today, didn't you?
Yeah.
So but limited stock. I keep going on about this, but you can't go wrong with the price 3499. They're a professional detector. If you're thinking about buying one, just buy one, because, like I said, they're not here for long. They're not here for long. So can't go wrong.
No.
Yeah.
Would you suggest this machine for Western Australia?
Oh, certainly. Yep. Look, the beauty. I know I keep banging on about it, but the beauty of this 4500 is, if you want to chase small gold, you put a smaller coil on it. If you want to look for big gold, you put a bigger coil on. And like I said, it's a professional machine. But once they're gone, they're gone.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Some other stock we got in is some MindLab accessories, and we did get in a big gold rat order.
We did. It was massive. I saw what come in while I was away, and I could see it on the cameras actually. There was stuff out the back everywhere.
We've been out of stock on some things for
a
little while.
Yeah.
But the order come through and
No, the shop's looking well stocked up. A few things we're a little bit short on, but they're sort of out of our control, like coils and Exceed coils. People are asking me today, when are you going to get them? But we don't know.
But speaking of coils, the new Coiltek coils.
Yeah, it's called the
Elite Max.
Elite Max. Look, I haven't tried one yet, so if you're watching this, Trevor, send us over one and I'll put it through its paces. But nice colour of the coil. It's sort of a, what would you call it, a light olivey green, it looks like to me.
I think so, but I don't know if it
was
was grey.
A grey, but we won't know till we get one and and try it out and
So the official release date is April the 18th. I think I've done that way too small on the screen there.
Oh, gee.
April 30.
Gee. Leanne's sitting only a couple of metres away from it. She can't read it.
April 30.
April.
But there looks like there's 3 coils.
Yeah.
And I'll bring it up on my phone quickly.
Okay. Look, I think anything, to have a little bit of an edge, whether it's in the sound or goes a little bit deeper, it's well worth having, And like, I don't know the prices of them yet because I'm a little bit, I've been out of the picture for a couple of weeks, but the price of gold, you don't need many grams to pay for it. And I think, I was telling a bloke in the shop today, I think when you find gold with a coil, that's your best coil out, and it's a confidence thing. And I know you girls talked about it last week. It's a mindset thing, and when you're positive about your machine and your coil, the gold seems to come to you.
It's like we had a customer in today who just found their first piece of gold, and it's such a satisfying feeling finding that first piece and knowing that you're doing everything right.
Yeah. I think he said, it took me a few weeks to find my first bit. Well, I said, well, I started in 1980 and it took me 6 months to find my first bit because back then there was no one around to help, no one to give advice. There was the old maps, but, you can get on your phone and your computer nowadays and do your research. But back then it was all just maps and books, really. And
were there dedicated gold prospecting stores back then?
There was, yeah. And I remember, there was one up the top end of Ballarat. Chad, a bloke who I knew, was running that one.
Yeah.
There was one, east of here. Yeah, I believe there was one in Geelong too. Okay. I don't know if you've seen it, but anyone who comes to the National Detecting Day on this Saturday, I've got a detector there that was actually made in Geelong.
No, I think I've seen that one before.
It looks a bit homemade, but it was made,
Worked for somebody.
Yeah, it obviously did, yeah.
Okay, back to this Coiltek coil. Okay. I can see a bit clearer on my phone here. So the official launch date is April the 30th. And there are definitely 3 coils. So we got the 10x5 elliptical, and that's $480. We've got the 9-inch round for $510, and the 14x9 for $540.
Okay.
So yeah, it does look like a dark greeny kind of colour.
Grey, I don't know.
So yeah, it's compatible with the GPX series, excluding the 6000.
Okay. MineLab
GP and SD series, and the Algo Force.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to, like I said, any advantage is, that's what everybody's after, that little bit of an edge over,
exactly.
their mates, I suppose. Yeah, over their mates. Yeah. Oh, gold price. I see last week it was roughly $151 a gram. And today, I don't know, what time did you take this roughly?
6:30.
6:30?
Yeah.
It was $154.17 a gram. That's unheard of.
Is it still going up because of Trump?
Well, it's actually come down a little bit. If you look at the chart, it did get to a roughly nearly 156, and it has come back a little bit. But I was listening to a thing, and they said he's lifted some of the tariffs off some of the countries. So the fear factor, I suppose, is gone, and now the gold price is coming down.
Yeah.
But as soon as he whacks the tariffs on, which could be tomorrow, the gold price will come up. It's I don't know any. If you're following gold price at the moment, it's up and down like a yo-yo, but it is gradually creeping up.
When you look at the past 12 months, 2 years,
wow.
It's gone up an insane amount.
Who would have thought, that sort of price? I bought some yesterday, and it wasn't much in the bottle. And I said to the boys in work, look at how much, that was just over $1,000 worth of gold. And it was a tiny bit, you know, I'd love to be out there chasing it again, but yeah. Anyway, got to have time to do these things. Got to have time.
What do you say was the gold price when you found your first piece? I think you said it just the other week.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember commenting on one of the sites. Someone said, "Oh, what's the lowest you've ever sold your gold for?" And I remember selling it. I think it was in 85, 86 for $12.50 a gram.
Yeah.
You know, it actually went up and then it come down, but yeah, I remember, yeah, $12.50 a gram. That's, yeah, you got to remember that's what I got. That doesn't actually mean what the gold price was, because the gold price may have been, you know, 400. I might only ended up with 350 an ounce.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Imagine if I kept all the gold I found over the years. But
If
anyway,
only you had known.
yeah, that's what we lived off there. So yeah.
Okay, National Detecting Day.
Well, you want to
this Saturday.
This Saturday. So it's a free event. Look, it's a small event, but it's a good event. I think, in my opinion. Yeah, Minelab's going to be helping us out. We've got Brad from Minelab on the barbecue again.
Yeah, and we'll have Neil, the engineer from Minelab, there as well. He'll be doing a talk.
Yeah.
Niall. Sorry.
Okay. We got Johnny Hobo melting some gold.
Yeah.
So I've got some gold to give him to melt. So
that'll be exciting. I reckon that'll get a good crowd.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his kilns are really good. Really good.
Yeah. Popular product. And then we've got the Golden Nugget Triangle Hunter, Bart as well.
Yeah, that will be interesting. He's out most days prospecting and searching for that yellow stuff. So it'll be interesting to hear what he's got to say. Yeah. And then I'll be floating around. So, yeah, please, guys, if you've got any questions with either Minelab, the engineers, or Brad, or myself, or Bart, or Johnny Hobo, Melton Gold, please ask. Yep.
We'll also have an up to 50% off sale on the day, so we'll do this both in-store and online.
Yeah. Yeah, the barbecue. I think we're going to have a can of Coke. Got to have a can of Coke to wash down the snags. You've got to have it's like fish and chips. You've got to have a can of Coke to wash down the grease. But yeah, no, look, it will be a good event. The event is 11 to 2.
Yes.
11 to 2. Yes. So, yeah, guest speakers will probably go for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. There will be a table with some second-hand stuff on there. And I actually had a chap come into the shop today, Graham, and he said, I've got all these, the old magazines, Gold Gem and Treasure magazines. He said, just put them on the table, he said, for free, and people can take one of them. And there's great stories in some of them old magazines. Yeah, you know, take one with you to WA and something to read.
It's your reading material.
Yeah.
And you've been out there a couple of times. You back out there tomorrow to continue setting it up?
Yeah, I've got to go up to Ballarat tomorrow, but then I've got to come back for the afternoon and finish setting it up and trying to make it interesting and enough seats. And
because we open the whole back of this shop up as well, don't we?
Yeah, go straight through the shop, and then the back's all opened up, and there'll be a second-hand table there with some bits and pieces on it. Just got to work out where they are and what I'm going to sell. And,
and the whole team will be there, us three. And
yeah, Paul will be there. And it should be a great day, actually. Weather's favourable, I think. Not too hot. Yeah, no, it'll be good.
I remember last year it got quite busy, didn't it?
It did. Very busy at the counter. Anyway, that's, we don't mind helping people that help us, I suppose, and,
Day to celebrate too, National Detecting Day.
It is. I'm surprised that, a few more shops don't actually, get involved. It's been going, for probably 8 years, 8 years or more, yeah. No, it's a good little event. It's free. Yeah, come down, have a sausage and a can of Coke or water. There'll probably be waters there. So
And
yeah,
the
very good.
newsletter rundown from this week. So last week we had our boot camp in Ballarat that went for 4 days, and you spoke to Peter about how it went. And
Yeah, he said, I think he said most people found gold.
yeah,
I think he said there was about 25 pieces found. Nothing big, but gee, any gold's good gold nowadays. Some specimens were found. A specimen, for ones that don't know what a specimen is, it's what we class as quartz or ironstone with gold through it.
yeah.
Yeah, which they'll see a couple of bits come up later on. Yeah. Yeah. What else?
So our product of the week is the new Garmin InReach Mini 2. So this is on sale at the moment for $579. Normally $679, but it's a great updated version on the previous Garmin InReach.
Okay.
So we sold out of the older versions, and then we got this new one in. So it's a great little compact GPS.
And, like people rely too much on their phones, especially in outback WA, like you can have your phone in your pocket, fall over, smash your screen, and you rely on it too much. Like these are built rugged for a purpose. We all really should have one if you're outback WA, especially if you're out there prospecting by yourself. Like, the times that I used to go out prospecting in WA, I would have 2 GPSs with me just in case something happened to one, because I don't want to be 20 Ks, on the motorbike somewhere and think, oh, gee, which way do I head? So just don't rely solely on your phone.
Especially these things last for days
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
whereas phone battery,
Yeah.
it's lucky to get you through the day.
I think they're designed that way, but
Then you've got features like two-way messaging.
Yeah.
It goes off the satellites,
Yeah.
not just phone service.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but in the news recently, in the past week, so I didn't quite get the full story of it. I didn't investigate, to be honest. But a couple of people got lost outback. I'm not sure, outback WA or outback Queensland.
Queensland, I think it was.
And they showed the aerial footage of the SES, I'm presuming, of just how remote they were.
Yeah. Oh, they're the ones that were found.
Yeah.
There was another 2 couple. I think it was in Queensland. I could be wrong here, but they found them. Yeah, not alive.
Yeah.
I
think there was a couple of those last year. There was a WA lot and a Queensland lot, father and son. And
look, and it happens. Like I know the first year I went to WA, the GPS I had was about that square, and it had a big fold-up antenna, and we went to an area that was flat ground, but all the trees were like 8 foot high. It was just thick mulga trees, and I thought, no, I won't take my GPS with me. I'll leave it in the car because it was a big heavy thing. And I thought, I'm just going to walk straight ahead for about an hour and then I'll come back. Anyway, I was walking along, and I was after 3/4 of an hour probably, and I'm looking up ahead, and I see this bright blue 4-wheel drive, which was the same colour as ours. And I thought, it's funny, to have another car the same colour up in front of me. And I went up, and I was bamboozled. It was our car. And for people know that when I do a WA tour and I sit around and ask questions, I'll say, oh, are you right-handed or left-handed? Because they say that right-handed people do a circle right-handed, left-hand people do a circle.
Interesting.
And that's exactly what I'd done. I'd walked around behind the car, and I was just bamboozled after that.
How big of a circle are we talking?
Oh, I don't know.
I guess it would vary for everyone.
Yeah, and it was thick vegetation, but When you're detecting, you're sort of looking at the ground, and you're not looking ahead. Well, there was nothing to look at except a tree.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So I wonder if a tip could be when you're prospecting and you're doing like a gridlock, go a little bit more to your opposite. Because if you're veering, I'm right-handed, so if I'm veering right a little bit the whole time in my grid, go a little bit left.
You just take a decent GPS with you, Talisha, because you really feel sick in the tummy when you get lost. It really do.
And we've had a few customers on our WA tours,
Yeah.
the Golden Relics, ask if they should have a GPS with them on tour with us.
Yeah, I think so, because they might leave that tour after we've done it and might go out by themselves. So it's just the insurance.
Yeah. So our tip of the week in the newsletter was all about safety again. So prioritise safety during remote prospecting expeditions by carrying, this time, an emergency beacon locator. In case of an accident or an emergency, the beacon sends out a distress signal and you get some rapid rescue.
Because you might be out prospecting and you get bit by a snake, and they say not to move. It'd be pretty hard not to move, but I'll tell you about snakes a bit later on.
Golden Relics tours. So we've got a 3-day boot camp coming up, which is still sold out. That'll be mid-April. Our 1-day tours and our training, they're going to finish up around end of May, because we'll be heading over to Western Australia.
Again.
Yes, again.
I'll be able to tell you where every pothole is on that road.
So these tours they normally resume back in September once we're back from the WA season.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about the all-inclusive tours?
Look, the all-inclusive tours, first one and second one's at Kalgoorlie. Oh, we've got some spots, have we?
Yeah, we've had a few people that have got some illnesses, so we've got a few extra spots this week.
Oh, wow.
So the first tour
at Kalgoorlie, there's one spot left on the all-inclusive. On the second all-inclusive, Kalgoorlie, there's 5 spots.
Yeah.
Wow. The Leinster one is sold out, and it looks like the other Leinster one, there's 6 spots left.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're the all-inclusive tours.
Yeah.
An all-inclusive tour, if you don't know, is we'll pick you up in the bus, and it's all food supplied. We use 6,000s. We've got 13 of them, so we've got plenty of detectors to use. Everything's supplied. All you really need is probably a pillow, pillow and a sleeping bag. But everything else is supplied.
Even the flights from Perth to the goldfields is included in this price.
Yeah. So you get yourself to Perth, and then we get another airline and fly to where we're doing the tours.
Yeah. And we're going back to tent accommodation this year.
We are. What we're finding in WA, all the miners' camps, or all the accommodation, I'll say, like even the caravan parks, are getting bought out by mining companies, and you can't actually get accommodation for small groups to stay there. Like, we've had some good places that we've stayed at, but the advantage, I suppose, having a tent and camping out in the field is that you can get up in the morning and you can go detecting, as long as we know that you've gone out. It's just, and you can have a fire, sit around and...
I remember the first, I don't know if it was the first 2 or 3 years that we ran the tours like this with the tent accommodation, and it was just such a great bunch of people.
It was.
And the friendships that were formed during that tour, just by everyone sitting around the campfire and sharing your meals together and then spending the day out prospecting.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's like a family for 7 days. And like you said, there's people on them early tours that we're still good friends with. It's good. Yeah.
And then we got the tag along tours.
Oh, tag along tours. Kalgoorlie, we've got 2 spots left on that. That's a tag along tour. The Murrin is sold out. The Walloona, there's 1 spot left. And the Meekatharra one.
That one, we've still got a few spots left on
that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was the newest date.
Yeah. I remember when I left to go to WA, most of these tours were booked out. But look, things happen, guys, and I understand, health and family and, things happen. Anyway.
So on the screen now will be the QR code. So you can join the newsletter here if you're not already signed up, and you'll get our weekly edition of the gold class.
The gold class, yeah, which it's tips, we give tips away on that, and if there's new products coming out or even the tours, that's the way of finding out first before, it sort of goes public, I suppose you'd say.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little snapshot of what's going on in the prospecting world.
Yeah.
And at this QR code as well is the link so they can join the competition.
Okay.
Our monthly competition, $50 the winner will get each month. All you've got to do is submit your fines and you'll go in the running.
Had many come through?
Yeah, I've been having some come through. Again, we're still going through the 2024 top fines. We have a lot of entries for that. We're only a couple weeks away now from announcing the winner.
Okay.
And then we'll go back into these monthly competitions where we'll get a winner every month. So enter now and try your luck.
Try your luck. And please, guys, don't forget to ask questions tonight. Whatever it is. We'll try and answer them.
Yes. So I'm going to go to a video now. This is of you in Western Australia.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Darren here from Lucky Strike Gold in Geelong. I'm actually at Coolgardie, and opposite the local Coolgardie post office, there's a museum that you can walk around and have a bit of a look. But well worth stopping here. But I called in to have a look at. Remembered there was a three-head stamp crusher here, and just wanted to have a look at it. But nothing on the one I've got, but I might be a bit biased. But well worth coming just to have a bit of a look around. There's the old National Bank there, lovely old building there. But old steam engines and whatnot. Very busy road because it's the main road that goes between the eastern states and down to Perth. So a lot of trucks on this road, but well worth a look. Yeah. Wonder how I'd go getting that in the shop. Too big. But there's a safety cage, the green one. I've got a couple of them. But well worth having a look around. There's something I'd like, but you don't see them too often. They have a big cast iron ball in, and they sort of work on about a 45-degree angle, and the big ball in there crushes up the quartz. But you just don't see a lot of them. But no, if you're around Coolgardie and you want to stretch the legs, call in here and have a look.
Hey, that museum it's an open air museum. It's at Coolgardie. Normally when I'm heading to Kalgoorlie, I'll take the little bit shorter way, which is through Kambolda, but it's a little bit longer, probably 20 minutes if I go through Coolgardie. But there was a reason I went there. The reason I went there is because I bought that 3-head stamper there a month ago. I remembered that there was a 3-head stamper there, I think it was. So I wanted to have a look at it, just to compare, I suppose. But Yeah, but there's some really interesting stuff there. Yeah, I'd like some of it in the shop, but a bit hard. But yeah, it's free. You can't miss it. It's in Coolgardie on a corner, and some really interesting stuff there. Like I said, really good. Yeah, I love, as you know, I love the old stuff, mining relics, and yeah, just love it. Yeah, just love it.
You wish you could have a museum of your own, don't you?
Look, I've probably got enough stuff to have a museum, but it's you can't have a shop full of museum stuff,
Yep.
you know, when you're trying to sell stuff. So yeah, there's a certain amount you can put out. Signs and that's not too bad because you can put them on the walls. But
Yep.
yeah, but anyway, that 3-head stamper, that's going in the shop somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
Gold of the week.
Gold of the week. Yeah, a customer bought this gold in. Look, generally when people sell me gold, I don't ask a lot of questions, you know, where it was found. I like to know what it was found with. This was found with a 6,000. Now, what they told me, it was pretty close to a reef, quartz reef, and not a known area. And when, it's a bit hard to tell in the photo, but that gold and the rock was very sharp, so it hasn't travelled far from that reef. So good on them, you know. I see in the photo it's a little bit buttery colour, that gold, but it looks high purity gold.
And that's 3 pieces of gold, and they were just over 33 grams.
Yeah, about 33 grams.
Yeah. Totally.
In the stone. That's how much gold is in that stone, because I've done a specific gravity test on it to determine how much gold is actually in that.
Yeah. So what would that be worth roughly?
Roughly probably a bit over $5,000. You know, 33 grams multiplied by 154. Yeah, it's up there. Yeah. But yeah, found with a 6,000 Victoria, but yeah, not a known area, and apparently not far from a reef. So it'll be interesting. Look, and they weren't bad pieces. There's got to be smaller pieces, maybe down a bit deeper or down the hill a little bit. But a lot of people, when they find a patch on the side of the hill, they think, oh, it runs straight to the reef. Sometimes it will run across the hill that way or run that way. You've just got to put the time in, you know. But that's not to say that there's going to be a lot more gold in that reef, because it may have just been a little pocket that is exposed in that reef and it's worn down the side of the hill. Yeah, and that's, you know, what they got. Or you don't know what was found early days. You know, there could have been a bigger one found lower or higher, or, you know.
So if you were this customer and you just found these 3 in a relatively close patch, where would you be going next?
I would probably be going, when you've got the hill sort of going up that way, you never work up and down the hill. Always go across the hill, because if you go up and down the hill, you might miss that patch that's running down the hill. But if you're going crossways on the hill, you've got a better chance of finding the patch. And when you find a patch, mark it. You know, a lot of people put sticks in their holes where they got gold, or a rock tower. But if you forget to remove your sticks and someone comes along with a bit more experience, they know that that's where the patch is, you know. And they might have been running a smaller coil. If you're running a bigger coil, it's going to go deeper, and there might be the bigger one down lower or higher that that person has missed. So, yeah. I like when I find a patch, say in WA, I like to fill my holes in that neat, and sometimes in some areas I'll throw a bit of sticks and leaves over the top. It rains and I have trouble the next year trying to work out where my holes are. But there's for 2 reasons. One reason is, I suppose, I don't want to give that spot away. I suppose if a new machine comes out, and it goes deeper, I'm going to be at that spot, you know. Because a lot of the spots that I've told people about, especially in Western Australia, like there was one one patch there I found a 16-ounce piece and a few other bits, and I told a local bloke about it, and he said, oh, one day I'll retire and we'll push it together. I went over there one year, he'd retired, he'd pushed it, and I believe he got 80 ounces off it.
Gosh.
So, you know, I don't mind helping people, but yeah, I don't, like being used, I suppose is the word. Yeah, anyway. And that's too, like, you know, when you buy a machine off us and you want some help, we're there to help. But, you know, it's a bit hard sometimes when someone's bought a detector elsewhere, but they want the help, you know. Yeah, but we do like helping, so yeah.
And we do have our training days.
We
as
do.
well, metal detecting training
do.
days where the guys will help you out with all the settings and how to get the most out of your machine.
Yeah, and I said to a chap today that bought a 45, I said to him, you know, like, you can have the best detector in the world, but unless you know how to use it and what to look for, you're going to waste a lot of time trying to work it out.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And what relic of the week have you picked out?
Oh, I think it was that bottle there, that one there. So they call them marble bottles because they've got a marble inside them. Look, some are worth, look, I'll say $50, probably up to, you know, $5,000, probably.
Just for that bottle.
Just for that bottle. Look, I used to dig a lot of old bottles, but when I found them, I used to sell them because I thought, gee, if I drop that bottle that's worth $1,000, I've got nothing. But yeah, the reason they call them marble bottles, because there's a marble in there, but they were carbonated water, so they were lemonade carbonated, so it was like bubbles in there.
Yeah.
But it had a rubber seal up the top of that bottle, and the gas would push the marble up and it would seal the bottle. And what you used to do, they had this round thing, I don't know the name of them, but they had this round thing that you used to hit, and it used to push the marble down and it would get caught in on the side here. So therefore you could drink what was in that bottle.
Yeah. So you have to carry around this circle thing if you wanted to drink
basically. It. Yeah, they probably had them in the shops, but yeah. But like I said, this this one's actually got lemonade on it. RV Reeves, Hamilton.
Okay.
So yeah, there was like cordial factories and soda factories and that back then, you know.
And where are these found these days?
We're going through a bit of a drought at the moment, so dried up dams, lakes, you know, rivers, you'll find them, you know. I remember once I was in Ballarat, I was knocking over a little mullock heap that I was getting gold out of, and I knocked it over, and I saw a bit of glass and I pulled it out, and it wasn't a marble bottle, but it was a salad oil going back to the probably 1870s.
Gosh.
And yeah, I think I got $200 or $300 for it.
Wow.
You know, but that's that one there. Here's another one here. CR Golding High Street Paran. So that's a Melbourne one. This isn't a marble bottle. I think they used to call them Lamonts. See, there's no marble in the top.
Yep.
There's a stopper in there that you used to push the stopper down. And that's CR Moore Dalesford, established 1862.
Gosh.
And the trademark was a picture of a bird on there. Probably can't see it, but it's a picture of a bird on there. But yeah, that's the ones that are worth money tend to have animals on them, like a kangaroo or an emu or bird, you know. But then it depends on the rarity of them. Mm-hmm. If it was something like today, what 99% is one brand of soft drink, they probably wouldn't be worth much. But a backyarder that was making, you know, lemonade and there wasn't many bottles, they tend to be up in price. But yeah.
So is there many of them still around today?
Look, I know I used to go around to the old shows. There used to be shows around, the antique bottle and collector shows, and they're throughout Australia. And yeah, it's just good to go and see and see what is worth money, you know. But yeah, I think there is quite a few around.
Did I catch you saying earlier that the kids used to smash them?
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, because they've got marbles in there, the kids used to smash them to get the marbles out to play marbles. So that makes them rare, I suppose, in their own right, you know.
Yeah.
Like I have seen a clear bottle, say, with a blue marble in there.
Oh,
so
gosh. Yeah, you would want to get that out.
And quite often you'll find the bottle's broken across here, where the kids have broken them to get the marble out.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen some ripper bottles smashed for that reason. You know, yeah, but no. So that's them.
Little piece.
It is.
Never heard of them before today.
Anyone from Ballarat, I don't know if you remember, probably 10 or probably more than 10 years ago, but the Lake Wendouree, which is in the centre of Ballarat, dried up. Did I take you there?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And when it dried up, there was blokes going out there digging and walking across the lake, and when the mud dried out, there was big cracks in the mud, and you look down between the cracks and you could see bottles down there. You know, and I remember picking up a few, but again, I didn't have time to spend there. I know one bloke, Mark, I won't mention his name, but Beecham, I just mentioned his name. Yeah, he found a bottle, I think it was worth about $5,000, you know, walking it. And there was only like 2 or 3 known examples. Another bloke I know was walking across there and he found this old mouldy wallet and it had, notes still in it.
Wow.
You know, so, yeah. And one part of the lake, the army used to mortar. Mortars are like a bomb thing. They used to drop them in and they used to shoot out and they used to bomb things out in the lake. There's a lot of them found in a certain area. That was on the, what would it be, south side.
Yeah.
Yeah, near the hotel there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity to walk across there, because I know a lot of the houses around there were complaining that they're paying all these big rates and big flash houses, and there's no water in the lake. There's nothing to look at, so that won't happen again. Yeah.
It just goes to show that even in like the dry season, there's still plenty to do and look for.
Yep, there's opportunities, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. You're looking for a mouse, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before there was a mouse shot up the wall. Thought we'd fix the problem, but not quite. The girls were up on the chairs. Okay.
Now tell us about what you were over in Western Australia for and how that all went.
Okay, so I had 2 weeks to get over there, do what I had to do, and then come back, which I'll tell you a bit later on what I had to do. But yeah, I hooked up the caravan, drove over there. I think I had 3.5 days. But fuel, once you get past Ceduna, which is, I say that's halfway. Once you get past Ceduna, the fuel starts to get expensive. From Ceduna past that, I think the fuel was, I'm talking diesel here, it was about $2.40 a litre. So the last place you need to get fuel if you're heading across there this year, guys, is Yalata. It's not a petrol station, it's a self-service type thing, and it was $2.40 a litre. But the next 2 stops on from there, which were Nullarbor Roadhouse and Border Village, they were $2.95.
Gosh.
So it pays to fill up at Yalata and then try and get through them 2 stops.
Yeah.
You know?
I know when we drive over to Western Australia, we're always just filling up, whether we're even the tiniest bit down, we just top up at any place that's got a reasonable price going, because some of the prices are crazy on there.
I know it. I think it was Kajuna, you call it? Kajuna, Western Australia, there was a mouse plague apparently, so you girls wouldn't have liked it. And you could see on the road these grey little furry bits. So I heard of a truck driver that stayed there overnight, and they were trying to crawl into his wheels to get some warmth from the wheels. So anyway.
I wouldn't even stop there for fuel, no matter what the price is.
So look, but and then you top up, Balladonia wasn't too bad, and you top up at Norseman, and then I think I topped up at Kalgoorlie, which, what was it at Cal? This is a funny bit. The fuel was cheaper in Leonora, which is another 2 hours drive up the road, more remote than what it was in Kalgoorlie. I think Cal was $2.09 a litre. And I was getting it for $1.93. This is in Leonora, but it's at the self-serve again. So, look, I know some people don't like using them because you might pay for $100, but you only get $80 in your tank. If you don't like that scenario, just have an empty jerry can there. And if your car only holds 80, put the other 20 in the jerry can. And
they do reimburse you, like if.
They do, but it's the time you've got to spend to look at your bank balance to make sure you have been reimbursed. But why did I go over there? So I've got a claim over there that I've had for. Look, you get a claim for like 4 years, and then you can extend it for another 4 years. But this particular claim I bought off some friends probably 3 years ago, I reckon it would have been. So it had come to its end of term. The only way to keep that lease is to turn it into a mining lease. And basically you have to physically go over there, put your 4 pegs in the ground, put a peg in the ground, dig the trenches, put another peg in the ground, dig your trenches. The trenches have got to be so long, they've got to be so deep. Your peg's got to be so high.
Sounds a bit outdated to me. Why can't you just go online and mark your area?
And then when you put your last peg in, you've got to fill out a form. They call it a Form 20. And that's saying where the other pegs are. And you've got to write down the exact time that you put that peg in the ground.
Gosh.
So, that's what I was over there for. One of the claims, I actually put a camera up in the tree.
Ooh.
So, it's,
because it's hard keeping track of back here.
It is, but I've got phone service, so I can actually look at it. And I've got it set pretty high, so if it's something bigger rather than a kangaroo jumping past it. And I've got a friend that lives not far in that town, because it's just not fair poaching on other people's leases. Like, to repeg that mining lease cost me $4,700.
Gosh,
you know, just for a lease. And I've got to keep it for me customers, you know, to go on there and find gold. I only did probably an hour's detecting in some new spots. I only found 4 pieces, which was probably about a gram. But I didn't do much detecting. I was running around looking for spots this year, making sure the tracks haven't washed away, and good camping spots, and wood and all that sort of thing. But things can change over there. The first night I stayed over there, this big black cloud was coming in, and then the gale force winds and the rain. I've never seen nothing like it. It was just incredible. And the lightning and thunder. But anyway, but generally when it rains, it dries up pretty quick. But you still got to be careful where you go. You know, it seems to be on the flat areas, the water goes through the ground, but it's sitting in pools, you know, on the cap rock and that. And
because you've got stuck in areas
Oh,
before,
gee.
haven't you, because of the
Yeah.
rain and got bogged?
yeah, I remember taking the old ochre over there, and it took me, was it 18 hours to dig it out? I was by myself. I was by myself. I got bogged. I had an axe with me. I was chopping down trees. The axe broke, so then I had to walk probably, I reckon, a K to get rocks to put under the wheels, and that was a nightmare. Yeah, but what I was worried about was, I said to Leanne, I said, if you don't hear from me by Monday, ring the police and tell them where I am prospecting, because I was out of fair way.
Yeah.
And I think it was Saturday night I got bogged, and I just, once I got out, I got out of the place. Never went back. Never went back. So yeah, just talking about different types of leases. Where is my bit of paper?
I don't know if you brought it, did you?
Oh, I think I did. But yeah, there's different types of leases over there. So you've got your prospecting leases, which generally prospectors will take out, and you're allowed 200 hectares under that lease. But it's not dear to get a lease, but it's quite expensive to keep a lease, if that makes sense, because each year I have to pay rates and rent on that lease, and I have to spend $40 per hectare. So on that lease I have to spend $8,000 a year to keep it.
Gosh.
You know, and then you've got to do a what do they call it? The year's mineral report, which is basically if I've disturbed any ground, I've got to pay per metre.
Yeah.
And then there's just other bits and pieces, but it is getting harder to get leases over there, I can tell you that. You know, so that's your prospecting lease. Then you've got exploration lease, which is basically taking out big areas, but your expenditure's higher. Minimum expenditure on an EL, I think, is $10,000. So yeah, and that's sort of where you're drilling, sampling, and that type of thing. Then the next step up is a mining lease, but it is, like I just said, expensive to take on a mining lease, quite expensive. But that's sort of the next step in prospecting, I suppose.
So they kind of go in those three levels.
Yeah, there seems to be a system, you know. But mining leases, look, I've never had one before, so it'll be interesting to see what I can do, how deep I can dig, and you know. But I've got to get the time to do all this. You know, and most mining companies over there have either mining leases, or what I'm noticing over the last few years, big mining companies. Is there a mouse somewhere? Where was he? Oh, over there. He won't eat much. What mining companies are doing, taking out prospecting leases rather than mining leases or exploration leases. Where's that mouse gone? Seems to come around this time of night every Tuesday night.
It's coming to watch the live.
Yeah. I think you were saying last time you had a plate of food over there, and he was up there helping himself to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, different types of leases. There's SBLs, which you can take out. I think it's 10 hectares. Where is he?
Behind you.
Oh, you'll be right. You'll be right. So different types of leases. But look, people will go over there. I had one bloke today, and he said, I'm going to WA prospecting. And I said, have you got someone's lease to go on? He said, no, I'm just going to go anywhere. I said, well, you go anywhere over there, you can lose your car, your caravan, your equipment, your gold, and then you're in through the court systems trying to defend yourself. So it's not like Victoria, where we're lucky that we can go onto Crown land. Over there, you can lose a lot. You're worried about this mouse.
Well, Mum's back there laughing like it's behind my head or something.
You'll be right. They don't eat much. So yeah, please, if you go over there, do the right thing. Yeah, because if you get caught on a lease that you're not meant to, you will lose everything. Yeah. Where is it this time?
I don't know, my phone, I just got a text.
Oh.
Scared the bejeebers out of me.
Yeah.
And what about APLA?
APLA is an organisation. There's like our PMAV back here that keeps the rights for the prospectors and miners over there. So, yeah. Geez, quick, isn't he? He's very quick.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
He's a fat one. I don't know what he's been eating, but...
You've
Yeah.
been feeding him, have you? Just to make the show a bit more interesting.
I think Mum's been feeding him rat sack, but yeah, you'll be right.
Next week, the cat's coming in.
The cat's coming in. I reckon we should bring the cat in later.
All right, now. Okay, he's up in the roof now.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Yeah, so that's APLA. You do need a miner's right over there. Each state's different. The miner's right for WA, I think, is about $28, and it's not for 10 years like our Victorian one. It's for life.
Life, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh yeah, I think, the wildlife. I got to talk about that.
Did you see any camels?
No camels. Not. I think I saw one emu, couple of kangaroos, but yeah, they weren't going across the road. 2 dead snakes on the road. But one night, I'm sitting near the caravan, and out the corner of my eye, I see this snake about that long, silvery-looking thing. Yeah, come out from under the caravan, because I camped there last year, and there was a snake skin in one of the goanna holes.
Oh.
So, yeah, I don't know if it's baby or not, but look, even the small snakes over there can be highly venomous. So, yeah. But yeah, didn't see much wildlife. No camels. No
And you
camels.
saw a snake skin in that video as well.
Oh
didn't you?
yeah, that's another story. Yeah. Yeah, he was a big snake skin. That was probably a
So
5-footer.
it's hard to tell from the video like how big it really was.
Yeah, I reckon it was 5 foot.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon it'd be probably a brown snake or.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Oh yeah. What else?
We've got our video up next. Again, another video from Steiglitz. I think this is
Steiglitz.
the
last Steiglitz one.
video.
Okay.
So this was of the church, and we'll flip over to that one now.
Okay. Yeah, we're at Steiglitz.
Why were you laughing like crazy at me?
Do you want to go get that cat?
I was laughing because I knew what was coming up on the screen, and then I'd sit there and wait for the reaction. It was so funny.
Yeah. What's after this?
It was like jumping and running at you and hopping.
At
Q&A.
me,
Yeah, it was like kept running towards you.
I was just making sure I wasn't looking at it.
Okay, I'll ask the questions and you can answer.
Okay.
We're 2 minutes off, guys.
2 minutes.
Being an hour.
So we'll get
Aye.
through them, but
Yep.
don't take too long. I guess.
Oh yeah.
Did you see it again?
Yeah, he's just a fat mouse.
But did you see it again?
No, I haven't seen it.
Sure.
How long? Huh?
There's no like progress bar to
Oh.
tell.
Probably, I don't know.
Oh, Sam said you can't hear the video. Oh, just us.
Might have to run it
Yeah.
again.
Hang on.
Yeah, we're at Steiglitz again. Just another lovely old building that's still here, still standing. It's an old church. It was built in 1868. Then it was moved, I believe, in 1951 into Geelong. And then from Geelong, it actually come back to where it was, which is great. And that was in 1982. So look, if you're looking for something to do, yeah, come out to Steiglitz, have a walk around, have a look at some of the old buildings that are still remaining. Yeah, just it's nice to see our old history still here. It's always my worry, I suppose, that if there's a bushfire and something like this gets burnt down, there's part of our history gone forever. But just, yeah, lovely old building. Even the old fence posts out the front there are still the old post and rail. But yeah, some old post and rails over there actually. But yeah, just come out, enjoy the day and have a look. Okay.
Another apprentice behind the screen
Another,
today.
yeah, Leanne's over there controlling things.
She's doing a good job though,
She is
first
doing a good.
time.
Yeah, if I was behind there, it'd be chaos. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that lovely old church that at Steiglitz. Look, every old gold mining town generally had, you know, probably 4 or 5 churches, and that would have been no exception at Steiglitz. But unfortunately, timber churches and bushfires in bush areas don't go down too well. Yeah. And yeah, it's a shame to lose the old history, you know. Yeah.
And it's fascinating that they moved it and then brought it back as well.
Yeah, that one, yeah. You know, yeah, they moved it, yeah, into Geelong, wasn't it? Yep. And then back again. Yeah. Yeah, good places to find coins and that too, around old churches,
Yeah.
but you're not allowed around Steiglitz detecting, but yeah, but other places, yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Questions. Okay, someone's asked, what are dry blowings? Look, when the ground is really dry, it's like in Victoria, because the ground's wet, we use high bankers because we've got a lot of water. But when there's no water in a dry area, they had like this construction like thing where you had bellows, and the bellows would push air up through this box, and they had different size sieves, and yeah, and then the gold would get caught on the riffles, but the lighter stuff would fly off. And over there you'll see piles of smaller gravel and piles of larger gravel. Mm-hmm. And you know they've cleaned out their trays and tipped it out, but you'd be surprised how much gold you find in them in the 2 different piles. Yeah. Because again, if that prospector didn't know what he was doing and his mate was dry blowing and he's dry blowing, they're throwing gold out.
And are they looking for more the bigger pieces back then that they might have just been getting rid of? Oh,
certainly,
small?
Yeah. They weren't interested in the small stuff, you know, they're interested in the big stuff. And it's the same here on the Victorian goldfields. Like the Europeans were only interested in the bigger stuff, and once they'd finished, they'd go chasing other goldfields that were equally as rich. Mm-hmm. But then the Chinese would come into the goldfields, and they reckon that they used to get just as much gold in fine gold as what the Europeans did, you know. Yeah. So yeah, that's what a dry blowing is. So it's been through a hand machine that blew the air up, and then you've got different piles of gravel.
Yeah. And would you scrape the pile down to get them all even?
Generally, they're only like, you know, 6 inches high. I think you're gonna, with the, you know, the 6000s, you're gonna punch through that. Yeah. You know, maybe the older machines, or some of the other ones on the market, but you know, it's, yeah, you're gonna punch through that. Yeah. Unless the pile's really high. But it's just good to see. And once, you know, like on some of our tours, we come across areas where there's dry blowings, and I'll point them out to people. And I don't know if you remember this, but we were detecting in WA one year, and there was a square. So what they do, they'll take out a square and they'll dig down to where it's a hard bottom, and then they'll put all that through the dry blower. Mm-hmm. One year I was in WA, and I got a noise in the square that the miner had dug, and I got a sound down in the natural cement. So they'd gone to the cement, the rock, and hadn't dug any further. And I had a sound in there, and I thought it was going to be an ounce piece. So I come down and I grabbed Leanne, and it might have been yourself. I can't remember if you remember this, probably a bit too young. But anyway, went back there, and we dug down about that far, and it wasn't an ounce piece, it was a 10-ounce piece.
Gosh.
And it was on a friend's claim. He brought out his loader and flattened the whole area, dug it down, and all we got was a 1 gram nugget.
Wow.
So just lucky, you know.
Yeah.
Tour dates similar each year, depending on the tours. The WA ones tend to be from May through to August, but then the Victorian ones can be a little bit different. But that's, if they join up with the newsletter, they'll find that out.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit hard. Yeah, and they're different spots generally in WA. Like, you know, this year we've got the new ones at Meekatharra, Walloona. You know, try and mix it up a bit, you know. Yeah. You know, sometimes I like to go over there and camp on my leases, and we've got a base to work out from that, but it's damn getting hard to get leases, you know. Yeah.
Upcoming dates for training days. I know we've got 2 training days left before we head off. We've got one this Friday, but that's booked out. And then we've got another 2, one in April, which is on, I think it's a Wednesday, and then one in May, which is on a Friday. So they're the last 2 for this season, and then they'll be up and running again after in September. So if you go to goldenrelics.com.au and click on adventures, you'll be able to look at the exact dates there and lock in a spot.
Okay, just after any info on a coil, it came with the GPX 5000 when I bought it. It's called a Nuggeteer 18x6 mono. Gee, I think this one's got me stumped. I've never heard of a Nuggeteer. I can do a bit of research, but you probably just punch it into Google, and Dr. Google will give you the answers. But I'll be honest, I've never heard of a Nuggeteer 18x6 mono. No, can't help that one. Oh well, told you I don't know everything. Sorry, I missed the price of the Garmin. What does the cost, please?
So it was $579, and that was with the $100 saving. So on special for $579, normally $679.
Okay, yeah. How many people are in the boot camp trips?
15, I believe.
For WA, yes.
Yeah, for WA, 15 people. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And look, you might think 15 people, but we have 2 helpers on that tour, and we do not detect on tours. We're there to help the customer. We're not there to line our own pockets. Yeah. So, yeah, we're basically walking around and saying, look, you know, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong. Try over there because the ground is a bit different because it's got, you know, devil's dices or, you know, just, yeah. So, yeah, but 15 people, and in large areas, they spread out pretty good. Yeah. But like I say, if you go too far and we can't find you, we can't help you. Yeah. You know, there's no need to walk.
I think I was saying just last week, like, you park on the gold. They know now to ask you to move the bus to check under that before you go. Yeah,
it's happened a lot. A lot. Yeah, freaky.
Next question. If we were allowed to strip the ground, say in Creswick Bush, do you think there'd be a lot of gold still out there in the ground?
I know Creswick like the back of my hand because I've spent most of my years out there from the 80s. A lot of the ground in most of the areas around Creswick is pretty shallow, really. You know, there's a few deeper gutters there, but yeah, no, a lot of it's shallow ground around Creswick, and that's a good thing, I think. You know, you will see deep ground through there, but it's basically been an old river system where they've taken it out. But yeah.
But as a whole, I think there's still a lot of gold out there, and
There is.
a lot of unexplored areas. And
Yeah. Well, I know the other day the boys took a tour out there, and one person, I believe, got 8 pieces, you know. So, yeah, I can't say it's all gone.
No.
That's for sure.
Last question, is the GPX 4500 easy to use, and compare that to the SDC 23 and the 6000?
No, look, the 23 and the 6000 is really easy to use.
Yeah.
The 4500, you know, look, there's a lot of switches and that on there, but once you understand what they're for and you don't go playing with it, you won't touch it.
Yeah.
And I was telling the bloke today that bought the 4500, I said, I was doing an event once, I think it was up at Wedderburn, and a bloke come to me and he said, oh, what settings do you use on the 4500? And I showed him, and he went out on the hunt. He come back and he said, oh, thanks, the machine's running beautiful. And then he was having lunch, and I wasn't that far from him. I heard him talking to another bloke, and the bloke said, oh, Darren doesn't know what he's talking about. Give us a look. And he changed all the settings. And the bloke went back out after lunch, and he come up to me and he said, oh, look, sorry. He said, I showed a bloke your settings, and I don't like the settings he put in. It's too noisy for me. So, yeah. And that's the thing with a 5000 or 4500. You ask 10 different prospectors for settings, you'll get 10 different answers.
Yeah.
But ask the ones that have got experience, you know, like, yeah, you know, there's people on, look, and I'll be the first to admit, I don't know everything. The day that I say, oh yeah, I know everything, it's my ego taking over and BS, because you're learning all the time.
Yeah.
But I think I've been around long enough to know what works for me.
Yeah.
And I say to people, these settings work for me, try them and see if they work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's about it, guys.
Got our winners.
Oh, the winners.
So what prize did you pick out again?
That, which is the brochure on how to pan for gold, which is from MindLab. 2 bottles to fill up, magnifier, big sucker bottle and little sucker bottle.
Now, we can't provide the gold to fill up these vials, but we're hoping this will get you started. So our 2 lucky winners for tonight is Mike Stabben and Troy Neepen.
Well done, guys. Yeah, come into the shop. If you can't come into the shop, ring up and yeah, we'll post it out to you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going mouse hunting, I think. We've got to get this cat in here.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you.
See you next week.